Nobody in all these months has properly called him out, so that's what I'm going to do today. Quick disclaimer, please do not harass anyone mentioned in this video. This video is made purely to raise awareness and hopefully educate more people about things that shouldn't be normalized, especially on a 13+ platform. Also, trigger warning, there will be a lot of uncensored lewd artwork and explicit topics discussed, as I want to show the reality of how revolting this dude is. I'm General Skaza and I'm here to talk about a user called FunnyFrendo34. I wouldn't recommend googling his name, as there's a relatively high chance you'll see either porn or general fetish content. To begin with, I need to mention that Frendo recently turned 17. This doesn't excuse any of his actions, but it does make the situation far weirder, IMO. I'll also mention that I'm 17 as well, 18 in a month, so we're the same age. Frendo posts art on a variety of platforms, such as YouTube, Blue Sky and DeviantArt, but that won't matter as I'm primarily talking about GameJolt and his creations as a whole here. GameJolt is a 13+ website and app originally created for users to post and download games. However, as time went on and more users joined, people began to post other contents such as music, art and gameplay. It has few rules, and because of one of them I am not able to call FunnyFrendo out properly on the site itself, because drawing attention to issues such as other users breaking rules, etc. is considered harassment. So that's why I'm here, to discuss Frendo's artwork and his disgusting behavior as a whole. I'll be straightforward here. He sexualizes the hell out of women. He draws several of his female OCs with enormous chests and gigantic butts far beyond reasonability. The funny thing is, he doesn't draw men this way, of course! It wouldn't be any better if he did. Sexualizing anyone regardless of gender is disgusting and harmful, but the sexism here is worth pointing out. A few days ago he made a post stating, "I really do love it when big GameJolt creators punch down on smaller ones just because they draw characters a certain way." I was aware of his existence prior to this, I just hadn't clicked on his profile as he hadn't appeared on my For You page. But for whatever reason, this post specifically got me curious, so I quickly skimmed through his profile, only to find absolutely disgusting art of women being incredibly sexual in nature. And as such, I wrote a comment under that post saying, "You just sexualize women, XD." After we got into whatever that mess was, some of his friends joined in and began essentially mocking me. Regardless, let me read you the entirety of the relevant conversation, whilst I throw in some comments of my own on the screen. However, full disclosure, I have adjusted the message's position to fit better. "You just sexualize women."
No!
No, not at all.
First image has Dex. Second is my GF Sona. She was a design. Last image is a joke.
Yeah, and they are all sexualized.
Also, last image has another female character, not sexualized.
To sexualize someone means to view, represent or treat a person in a way that emphasizes or focuses on their sexual characteristics or appeal, often ignoring their other qualities or humanity. That are 99% of your art about women.
Brother, in all things holy, the difference between how to draw men and women is staggering, mate. A woman having an attractive face is an issue, mate, but mate, exaggerating them so much for no real reason, like giving them giant bloody breasts, razor thin waists and giant hips, is sexualization, mate.
They have tons of personality, and I have so many other male and female characters. This is just the surface.
That's bloody crazy, mate, because I've been reading through your account and I haven't seen a single thing about their personalities, besides the fact all of them have giant bloody onkers that'd probably kill them and waist so thin they can't open those wiggly things in your stomach.
Is there anything inherently wrong with these designs? Also, if a male was drawn with big muscles, nobody would care, even though that's technically sexualizing men. One last thing, is there a way that you could give this feedback in a positive way instead of trying to insinuate that it's his fault on a vent post?
Lucy, to correct you, if someone constantly drew men with overly big muscles having barely any clothing, yes, that would be sexualization and people should pay attention to it as well.
It's called character design. They're cartoons. If I give them all normal proportions, they all look boring and the same.
So, why do you draw men like that? It's only women you draw like some bloody porn star. Have you seen cartoons, mate? Most of them have weird bodies out of the way, it's like long-ass limbs. Also, you can't use that "oh, it's boring" excuse when you draw men completely normally. Draw women like that and frankly you'd be stellar.
It is unbelievably shitty to try blaming the person who is venting. Like, instead of trying to be understanding, you had to come in and try to prove your point instead. This is the sort of shit that leads people to bottle their feelings and believe that nobody cares about their feelings.
By the way, is this all a sexualization?
I can't really tell. I don't know if it's your OC or a character that already exists. It looks fine, but how about those?
Half of this are jokes, and some of those aren't even my characters.
Is it funny to sexualize women? Scribbles lol sexualizes his characters more for your information. I don't really check Scribbles' account. They are my top supporter and I wanted to show my gratitude.
Lad, I've seen characters with bigger proportions than my characters. Kids' movies. Ever seen Caroline? Or Tim Burton's Soul Art?
Robots 2005.
What's your point here, mate? It's a giant bloody oven. There's nothing to talk about.
I'm not even sexualizing half of those characters. They just look like that. Example, Pinks.
He is sexualizing them. He designed them to be sexualized in the first place.
And what's your point here, Womp? They're just furry cartoons. I didn't see much to talk about.
One of your bloody characters explicitly drawing attention to their chest, Frendo. A giant robot oven is not the same in any way or form, mate. Bloody ridiculous, mate.
Well, about Pinks, if not you, their creator sexualizes them.
I don't sexualize Pinks.
Man, did you create Pinks or did someone else? Because I'm getting lost.
I made Pinks. I gave her mad hips because it makes her unique and stand out.
Again, this is blatant sexualization. He made her like this. You don't know the intricacies of the characters, so to jump the conclusion that the sexualization is all they are is kind of weird. Zorbs, I have eyes. If a creator makes women OCs that have overly big hips, big chests and thin waist, and it's not only a single character to make them unique, it's sexualization.
It only becomes that when all my characters look like that, and even more so when their personality is sexual and my characters have interesting, unique personalities.
For the love of God, can you guys actually do some deeper thinking and realize these depictions don't harm women at all? Especially when they are on such a small scale of a small GameJolt artist. And again, why can't you be encouraging? Why can't you understand how he must be feeling? Having those people bitch about his character's designs non-stop? Why can't you try to help him up instead of punching him down? On his fucking birthday too! Like you just had to make him feel awful on today. Out of all days? Why did you have to make him feel awful to begin with?
Not gonna lie, my back hurts after reading all that. And I think I lost half my brain cells reading FunnyFrendo's and his girlfriend's arguments. They kept going off topic, bringing up irrelevant things and other people. Now, Frendo did show a few women he doesn't sexualize. And to his credit, that is true. For example, there's this character Fluffy, but he rarely draws any other non-sexualized female characters. When I viewed his GameJolt profile, every art was either Jessica the Red Fox or Pinks the huge sexualized female protogen. The amount of it is horrific! And that's not even mentioning I didn't bother to screenshot the ones that were relatively similar to each other. And he still kept saying he doesn't sexualize his female OCs. So how about I show you this then? The character on the left is his normal male persona. It is fully clothed and has normal proportions. But look what happens when he gender bends himself. His persona suddenly gains those unique traits. It's funny he talks about making characters unique while giving his demon OC red skin, horns and an arrow-tipped tail. He doesn't even try to make them unique besides exaggerating their butts and tits. Also, doesn't that mean that by his logic, female OCs can't be interesting without having exaggerated physical features? Is that why he rarely ever draws his other non-sexualized female characters? You may say it's fine because in this case it's his persona. It's a representation of himself and that's how he wants to be represented. But then why doesn't he sexualize himself when he's in his male form? Except a single art where he's wearing revealing clothes. It's genuinely just sexism. Oh, and if you still weren't convinced, let me show you those. One more concerning thing is the times he draws his characters being clearly uncomfortable with being sexualized and making light of violating their consent. Such as in this art where Jessica asks him to tone down the sexualization of her design and he refuses, saying he does what he wants. Or in this one where she says the breast reduction surgery was botched and they made her chest bigger. Now that feels like fetish material at this point. It's incredibly sexist and gross. Frendo really tries to be a cute little trans community supporter. He's drawn several pieces with the trans flag and all, and some of the outfits he made with that flag are genuinely fire. The problem is his horrific sexualization of women. He supports trans people, but he's literally a walking anti-advertisement for the trans community. First of all, big shock, and I've said this already, he sexualizes women. And second, he has one particular quote-unquote supportive artwork with pinks. A fetishized protogen crushing a transphobe with her tremendous butt, then standing up and having this dude inside of her. Like, transphobes are absolute scum, by all means ridicule and shame them, but this just makes trans people look gross. Look how they are portrayed by transphobes, as fetishy sexual people who do this sort of shit publicly. This is just fuel for transphobes. Now someone who's indifferent to trans people and doesn't care or understand their struggles sees art of a sexualized, sleazy, fetishized female fairy protogen drawn crushing what's supposed to be representing a transphobe, and many people still don't consider transphobia to be a bad thing, with her butt and then getting stuck inside of her. What do you think their reaction would be? Because instead of being, yes girl, slay, you show them, they will just see trans people as disgusting sex freaks, not to mention the horrible reputation it gives fairies. Add to that this disgusting homophobic joke, which funnily enough is also sexist. Lesbian women often get told they just haven't met the right man yet and that a good fucking is all they need to be fixed. i.e. be heterosexual. There's also another topic I'd like to discuss, but I will let my friends talk about it instead.
Hello everyone, I am Mousy. You may know me as a furry fanboy from GameJolt, and I also voiced some of FunnyFrendo's lines earlier in this video. I would like to talk about a topic that has been bothering me a lot, and it relates to what FunnyFrendo34 does as well. That being sexualization, objectification and stereotyping of femboys. Lately, a lot of people have been misinterpreting what a femboy is. Originally, it was meant for guys who didn't agree with Frendo standards of masculinity, who wanted to wear cute clothes, things that generally considered girly and act in a cute and silly way, but who still identify as cisgender men and are not necessarily queer either. Femboys are not transgender people. These are two completely different things. Transgender people are people who identify as the opposite gender than the one they were assigned at birth, and want to change their body for it to align their gender. Whereas femboys are cisgender men and have no desire to change their gender and usually do not take any hormones. Unfortunately, people's understanding of what a femboy is has been greatly distorted. For some reason, some people think that femboys are always horny and seductive, and must have thin waist, narrow shoulders, and very thick thighs. Often to such an extent that they have unrealistic anatomy for men. They must look like women with one key difference: they don't have breasts. I don't think I need to explain that this is not reality, right? They are ordinary guys. You can walk past a guy on the street never knowing that he wears fishnet stockings and skirts at home. Keep in mind, femboys are not obsessed with femininity and being as feminine as possible. They are still men and not women with penises. The excessive sexualization got so bad that some femboys had to come up with a new word to call themselves, which is roseboy, which I also used to refer to myself, because the word femboy is associated with degeneracy and over-sexualization. Let's back to the topic of FunnyFrendo34. As you remember, Skaza mentioned earlier that he doesn't sexualize male characters, with a few exceptions. For example, his femboy OC Felix, as well as some characters he drew for other people. In case of Felix, his drawings have almost all of the problems I listed above. He drew him in revealing outfits, he drew him with sexualized body. Here he drew him with a focus on his butt, with Felix asking for privacy and being clearly uncomfortable. Again with the weird fetish stuff. He also drew Felix in female form, as always with a huge butt and breasts, and had Felix say that he likes this female form, when the character is originally a femboy, and as I mentioned earlier, femboys have no intention of becoming women. They are satisfied with and don't struggle with their gender identity. That's all, friends. Thank you for your attention, and Skaza for an opportunity to be a part of that video.
Frendo has several questionable arts that are just distasteful and inappropriate, especially on a site with kids as young as 13. It's not a big thing, but it's worth mentioning to illustrate how vile this person is. Two of his artwork contain the N-word. I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest. It's not the hard R version, as they technically have a different weight and tone, and the character saying it is portrayed to be black in some arts of her in her human form. But yeah, I'm leaving it for you to judge. Before I go on, I need to mention that Frendo claims to have depression. I say claims because there's no proof of that, and from how Frendo talks about depression, he clearly doesn't even understand what it actually is. He literally said that our justified criticism somehow brought his depression back, which is not how the illness works. It's possible that he experiences depressive episodes, but the fact that he can't even recognize the difference shows he's extremely ignorant and trying to use the label of a serious mental illness as a shield, a way to guilt-trip others into leaving him alone. If he were actually diagnosed, he would understand what depression really means and how it works. He went on saying we were bullying him, which we weren't. Bullying is a repeated and deliberate misuse of power to intentionally harm another person through verbal, physical, or social behavior. But I guess he didn't take it well, because he made a post saying he wanted to delete everything, and he actually did, sort of. Most of the sexualized art disappeared. Well, from GameJolt at least. But he started posting again on the 8th of November. He also had another conversation with my friend Womp, where she genuinely explained why his art is harmful. But Frendo's response was saying he wanted to kill himself. Womp, being a decent person, sent him suicide hotlines. After that, more of his friends joined in, calling me toxic, and then Frendo went full victim mode again, guilt-tripping me for calling out the obvious. Small thing, but this here shows he's absolutely aware what he's posting is not normally okay. Let me actually tell you what I think about this thread. He and his girlfriend constantly tried shifting the blame, saying it's either a joke or the characters were made this way. These characters were sexualized when they were made. His girlfriend is actually unhinged. How can you say sexualization is harmless? Open your eyes, you dumb perverts! Objectification and similarly sexualization leads to the normalization of women not having autonomy, being seen as objects, things to be used, to be owned. The same goes for objectification and sexualization of men too. Obviously, a pervert that sexualizes themselves, as in their persona and their OCs. Since Frendo's girlfriend has few OCs, she either sexualizes herself or tells Frendo to sexualize them. Wouldn't see harm in it. Just another character you can jerk off to. Frendo is the same age as I am, which makes this whole thing even more ridiculous. People learn to take consequences at the age of 14. If you can't take responsibility for what you're doing, then you shouldn't live in a society. My opinion at least. Also, bringing your alleged mental problems into a discussion is just a poor attempt to manipulate the other person so they stop blaming you, is absolutely, utterly pathetic. Not to mention the fact that some of the disgusting things you were saying and drawing could be triggering other people with mental health issues. Depression doesn't excuse continuous bad actions. Depressed people don't suddenly get a pass to do whatever they want. Does that mean you're extremely ignorant and using a serious, severe mental illness as a shield? You don't even know the most basic information about an illness you claim to have, which also just spreads misinformation. You may have depressive episodes, but not depression. But hypothetically, if he does have it, it still doesn't excuse him. You know that, for example, many pedophiles have a tragic sexual backstory? That does not excuse them one bit, and no, I am not comparing Frendo to pedophiles, I am only comparing the logic. And for the end, I wanted to talk about one of the most shocking things. He's been drawing porn since the age of at least 14. When you look his name up on Google and actually click any of those weird sites, you can see his art dated as far back as 2023. At first I thought he ran the Rule34 account, but looking further into it, I saw the account posting his art is called Bot. This user posts like at least 40 not safe for work works per day. If the art wasn't posted there by Frendo himself, then how would this bot dude get his art? What is most likely, in my opinion, is that Frendo posts his not safe for work art somewhere, like maybe not safe for work Discord servers or other obscure sites, where someone could download and repost it. Regardless, this had me speechless when I saw it. Posting your explicit art as a minor is dangerous, as you can attract predators. Worst case scenario, it can even lead to you becoming a victim of grooming. It normalizes the idea of posting not safe for work art in the minds of other minors, even ones younger than Frendo. And not only has his art from 2023 stayed on these weird not safe for work sites, there's also new art from November this year, which means this isn't a case where you've done something dumb in the past as a kid. He's fully aware of what he's doing, yet refuses to see anything wrong with them, and makes no attempt to change. This is plain willful ignorance. Therefore, all his already invalid arguments, or should I say excuses, are debunked. A person who's been drawing porn from the age of 14 and posting it on inappropriate sites cannot convince me that their overly sexualized characters were made this way as a joke, and are not in fact sexualized. This is the most ignorant and laziest excuse you could possibly come up with. Young artists may try to discover new things and draw artistic nudity, which in on itself isn't bad in my opinion, but they should never be posting it publicly. Besides, there's a huge difference between artistic nudity, exaggerated sexualization, and outright porn. But hey, I guess it isn't 1412 and artistic nudity doesn't exist anymore. All I want is for him to stop sexualizing women, hopefully see the harm in his actions, and to learn and grow. If calmly talking things out didn't work, maybe a call-out video will. I just don't want to see this degenerate shit online, especially on a site full of minors that has explicitly said they do not allow not safe for work content. Early introduction to extremely lewd, borderline pornographic material can lead to children, because realistically there are also kids below 13 on GameJolt accidentally discovering things they are far too young to know about. This is something pedophiles exploit. Whether he means to or not, he is putting children and young teenagers at risk. I hope you'll realize how filthy and not to mention harmful most of your art is right now. With that being said, GameJolt holds a part of the blame here too. Moderation is the most important part of running a site full of minors, especially a site that's oftentimes used by more vulnerable people. Frendo isn't innocent by any means, but GameJolt too needs to step up and act when it counts, instead of punishing those who speak up. I hope you took away something good from this and maybe even learned something. Again, please don't harass anyone mentioned here, and have a great day!